What is up, Mets fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Mets Up podcast. Finished the home and home with the Philadelphia Phillies, and it was terrible. It was awful. It could have been worse. And honestly, I'm in such a weird spot with this team. I wanted to come on and scream and yell, but I can't really do that because they won the last game. So I'm almost mad at them because I don't even get to get it out. I want to just spew nonsense to you guys, but they won the last game, so it kind of calmed me down a little bit. And the Rangers won, and we got a big game for the Knicks coming up this week. Those are the bigger games going on right now. But of course, we are going to talk about everything that happened in this series, all the stuff going on in Mets world. Uncle Stevie had a tweet that was deleted and is the talk of the town because if you like to read the tea leaves, you might be able to read a little bit into what Steve Cohen's talking about there. But yeah, you guys know the drill. Make sure you follow us on all our social media at MetsUp on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Go subscribe to the MetsUp Podcast YouTube channel if you want to see the video version of this, as well as the exclusive YouTube content we put out over there. We just dropped grades for every player thus far this season. If you want to see that, go subscribe. And if you're listening to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, drop us a rating, drop us a review. Remember, if you drop us a review, we will shout you on the podcast. So if you ever wanted to be involved, there's your chance. All right, James, got the Rangers jersey on. The Mets get a win. It's a big night for New York. How are we feeling?
Rangers game was so incredible. I know there's probably not the most crossover Mets and Rangers fans out there. I think it's probably more Mets Islanders significantly, even probably a smattering of Mets Devils. But everything else going on in New York sports right now is incredible. I mean, get just jealous of the Yankees. They're having a magical start to the season. But Knicks and Rangers simultaneously. Rangers moving up to the Eastern Conference Finals. Knicks hold our heart in their hands on Friday night. But big Mets series to talk about. It's been a long time since we talked about you guys and feel like a lot has happened just because of how hectic and chaotic a 4-game series with your biggest rival is, moving cities midway through it. I was even in the house on Monday night, and that feels like a lifetime ago in and of itself. Also, guys, this episode, there's so much Mets to talk about. We're going to skip the prospect report for a week. The original plan that I wrote up was to, because we get the prospect report just doing the same thing every week. I was going to talk about struggling prospects. Thought that was a little too much misery for this episode. So we're just going to keep it to the major league team for this week. Going to come back with a big, juicy, beefy prospect report next week, of course. Have a little nuggets I'm going to share with you guys here at the end. But we want to keep everything on the field because there's concerns growing with this Mets team. They still fought in every single game. They truthfully had a chance to win all 4 games of the series, and wouldn't have been us, even though they got beat pretty badly on Wednesday. Like, there were opportunities early in the game to blow it open against Ranger Suarez. Just lack of execution. That's really it. Lack of execution. Just guys who are not playing up to the standard that us or they expect.
Yeah, it's just really frustrating watching this team. And I wanted to come on and scream and yell about how this team is a bunch of losers and they suck and this and that. And then they end up scrapping out this win where Edwin Diaz was rough in this series, blew 2 games, blew game 4 again, but then they picked him up. And that's the kind of stuff that I'm like, fuck, damn it. That's what good teams do. Good teams pick up each other's players. And Lindor was horrendous this series. I think he was 0 for 15 or 0 for 16 the entire series. Pete Alonso's been swinging the bat well. He got a home run in this one. Brett Beatty had a nice double in the game. JD Martinez swinging the bat well. There's things that are going right, but it does feel like nothing's going right at the same time. I don't know if that makes sense. I tweeted out after the first Edwin Diaz save that he blew in game 1. I was so negative that day. It was crazy. I couldn't believe how awful I felt watching this game. But I was like, the Mets are going to knock years off of my life. Mets pitching has been great. Every other aspect of this team has been disrespectfully bad. Hard to watch this team play right now. And then talked about some other stuff that we'll bring up later on in the podcast. But they really take everything away from whether or not you think this team is good, whether you think this team is bad. They don't play enjoyable baseball to watch. Not a fun team to watch play every single night. It is agonizing to watch this team play at times.
It's not really a fun team to watch. It's kind of boring-ish baseball at times. Like, most of the pitchers in the rotation kind of just throw loopy curveballs at 93 miles an hour and just try to nibble around the edges of the strike zone. The Lucchesi start was exactly the Lucchesi start you expect on Wednesday. Quintana on Thursday. Mendoza just keeps leaving these guys in for the third time through the order, and I get that the bullpen is strapped. Not that many guys in rotation go deep into games, but it's like clockwork. Every single time with these guys get the third time around the order, the other team starts to hit them immediately the next inning. So it's just maybe one time, just don't let that happen first. Be proactive instead of reactive. And it's so blah. And especially this is, for some reason, Pete Alonso and Francisco Lindor can't hit well at the same time. I don't know how. The second that Pete started hitting, Francisco Lindor just went cold again. Just totally stopped. His batting average dropped back under 200. The Lindorks are back in full force online. It's an absolute onslaught right now. It's hard to play defense in every single guy in this team at once. It's hard to be Edwin Diaz is still good, but he's not the best reliever anymore. And he went through an unbelievably serious injury like a year and a half ago. So it's still probably it's just they can't just put it together. They can't meld. They can't blend. It seems like rather than like I don't know. I don't want to say they're not fighting through because they are fighting through it, but there's just always been this overwhelming idea for this team going back to last year that it's like we're not going to let this happen. We know we're better than this. And it just seems like now, if you look back at the last 5 years of the Mets, like the one good year is the aberration for this core,
Yes.
not
Oh yeah.
the four bad ones. Like Mendoza had a quote like, when we get hot, it's going to be really scary. And so I think Marte or Lindor and Mendoza said something else. They were like, we're not going to let what happened last year happen again. Like we're too good for that. It's like,
Are we?
maybe a little too good for that, but it's just like there's like this reserved confidence that it's nice, it's objectively good, but it's not. It wasn't totally earned. It's like there's this reverence right now. Like we know we're better than this. It's like the Astros will say that because they have won three out of seven championships, and like it's just different. Even the Rays, a team that's been over 500 for I think 6 years in a row now, but like this Mets core that has had again. These are good players and they have had success, but there's been one winning season in 4 years. 2019 was a winning season. I forget that, but it was like a winning season. They still didn't even reach the playoffs. But in 5 full seasons, you've been over 500 twice. You made the playoffs once, and it's like there's this unshakable confidence for some reason, but it hasn't been borne out in the field yet this year.
Yeah, the Mets, the way I think I've said this on the podcast before, but the Mets don't go out and get it. The Mets like play baseball and hope the good things happen rather than make the good things happen. And I felt it like I was so pumped with the Rangers game tonight. That was so awesome. That made me not want to start like just screaming and yelling at the TV about the Mets because the Rangers comeback was incredible. But Chris Kreider, and I think you told me this off the podcast before, apparently after the second period ended, went into the locker room and was like, I'm getting one next period. I don't care. Someone else has to get one too. Like someone else has to step up. I'm getting one. And then he had a hat trick in the third period, scored 3 goals in the third period. He went out and got that. And I know hockey is different than baseball. You can't make an impact because you only have your at-bats a certain amount of times a game. And you can only make so many plays because the balls are hit to you or you're pitching, whatever it is. But it doesn't feel like there's anybody on the Mets that's like, fuck you. I'm going out. I'm better than you. We're missing that edge. And this is something we've talked about forever. We have missed an edge on this New York Mets team. There's nobody that's a fuck you guy. There's nobody that's I'm a better than you guy. It's a lot of we'll figure it out. Things will be okay. Fuck that. Go out and be better. It's so frustrating. Like the juxtaposition of celebrating Chris Kreider scoring those goals and being the fucking dog that he was and being like, that dude single-handedly put the Rangers on his back and won that game for them to go to the Eastern Conference Finals, while also me being like, God damn it, the Mets don't have a single guy like this on the roster. That frustrates the hell out of me.
Kreider's also is like he's an all-time Ranger. Like his
Of
number
course.
will be
Yeah.
retired. No one's gonna wear number 20 ever again. It's gonna be in Madison Square Garden the rest of our lives. But it is different. Again, it's a different sport. But I almost feel like sometimes the way the Mets players and Mendoza talk after games, it's almost the way you'd expect front office people to speak.
Yes.
Being like, we know we're better than this. Like
PR
the
people.
process is there. Yeah, PR people. I mean, again, and this is another thing that comes back to this organization. It's just like there's such an impetus on marketing. I was at the game on Monday night, and the vibes are not good in Citi Field.
Of
Similar
course
to
not.
Saturday, it's crazy, but the Pete leaked contract has kind of turned the tides a little bit in the way, especially the way, again, he's been really good the last few weeks now, but it's kind of turned the tides away a little bit on the way that he hit this is the way he's being viewed this season. And I even could see it in the first, like, very obvious way. Again, in the stadium Saturday and Monday, I felt that people were heckling him like a lot habitually. But tonight tweeted, like, Pete's been blazing hot for like a week now again.
Yeah.
Like he's about to go on
Love
one
him
of
in the
Pete's,
2-hole, by the way. Love him in the 2-hole.
he's about to go on one of the Pete nuclear streaks. And all of the responses to this tweet that I didn't retweet, you didn't retweet it either, right?
No, which one?
The don't let Pete Alonso get hot.
No, I didn't do anything.
So every single response, it was don't let Pete Alonso get hot. Don't worry, nobody will. LOL. LOL. He's real scary. Put the team on his back and keep you guys in fourth place. Trade him now. Why not? He's not that good. Nobody's worried about him getting hot. I don't have to worry. He's sporadic at best. These tweets won't age well. Don't worry, he won't. Dave Kingman. Okay. Is he even going to hit 240 this month? That would be a hot month for him. 240 is the major league average batting average. It's actually higher than it's 238.
If there's anything, guys, please, and I'm 99% sure everybody who listens to this understands, but like if there's anything you'll ever take from us, please stop with the batting average shit. It does not fucking matter at all.
It's crazy to me how much this tide has turned on Pete Alonso once that contract got leaked, and the fact he had like 4 pretty bad weeks.
I've done a 360 on the whole contract thing with Pete. I actually think I can rationalize why he said no. I think it's stupid. I think it might be a little bit of Boris getting his little meaty claws all over this as well. But I can like for me, Pete saying no is not because Pete doesn't want to be in New York. Ready for this spin zone? Pete says no because he wants to be in New York. And the reason being is that the 7-year contract gives him to like 37, meaning that he's going to have to hit free agency probably one or two more times, sign one or two more contracts whenever this one that was theoretically given in the offseason ends, because he will have probably 2 or 3 years left, especially if he's chasing a certain home run number that he could be looking at some point in his career. And I can see Pete being like, I want 9 or 10 years because I want to sign this contract and I never want to think about who I'm going to play for again. I don't want to have to sign for another team.
That was actually the report, that the money was fine, but they wanted more years. And it was also, the timeline was weird in the report. And I had this conversation with somebody in my DMs. I forgot who, but it wasn't really clear when that contract was officially offered to Pete.
No.
Right? So like that could have been Billy Epler, not David Stearns. That could have been Pete's old agents and not Scott Boras. Like,
yeah,
Pete signed with Boras in October, which is when Stearns came in. So it would make a lot of logical sense that would have happened like winter meetings this time. But we don't know for sure because we don't know. Joel Sherman just dropped that. But it's been interesting to me to see how this tide has turned, where these same Mets fans who are like good riddance to Pete Alonso 75 days ago were like, if Pete Alonso ever plays a game in a different uniform, it's an embarrassment to the Mets organization.
I mean, that I will say, I was never on that side of things. Like, fuck Pete for not taking this. But I have found myself more and more being on the side of it's probably time to trade him if this team's not going to do anything. But shout out Clay, shout out McHits. Texted us this morning. I was on a ledge. I was ready to jump. And he was like, there's still only one game out of the wild card. Again, it's early in the year. But like, as horrible and terrible and all the awful words I have to say about this team are, they're not out of it by any means. It's still so early in the season, which is also such loser talk. And I feel like we're the PR department just spewing nonsense again. But relatively speaking, the sky is falling, but it's not at the same time.
And again, also like the league right now fucking sucks on offense.
Sucks.
Like, it seems like Major League Baseball manipulated the ball again, and I'm so mad at myself. I didn't see this coming for fantasy and just like making content, because last year all the pitchers sucked and all the pitchers complained. The league ERA was like 4.4, and the league, I think the league OPS was like 730 or something. No, yeah, 734. I have it in front of me. So the league was like, okay, we need to help the pitchers out a little bit. So let's kill the ball again. We know all the balls are going in play. We have that point of data from last year. Now all the balls are going in play. There'll be no more home runs. That'll make everything even. But right now, the league wide triple slash. So this is the league average. Every single player in baseball boiled down to the numbers. 239 batting average, 312 on base percentage, 385 slugging, 697 OPS.
Ooh.
That's almost a 40-point drop in OPS from in 1 year, from 2023 to 2024. So if we see these Mets struggling, then you look around the league, I'm sure a lot of Mets fans don't look around the league that often.
No.
You're seeing teams like the Cardinals, the Pirates, the Red Sox can't hit. They don't even have good hitters. They can't hit. The Blue Jays are a complete fucking dumpster fire at the plate, in the field, everything. The Padres, of course, can't hit. The Astros are 10 games under 500. Like most of the league right now, basically, besides the Yankees. Well, I was going to say the Twins until the Yankees just whipped the shit out of them again. What I tell you the stat yesterday? I think
they're 113 and I think 49.
Yeah, whatever the Yankees' last 162 games against the Twins, including playoffs, it would be the best win-loss record ever in the Major League season. But it's basically just the Yankees, the Phillies, the Braves, the Dodgers right now. Like, those are the teams hitting. That's it. And no, the Mariners aren't hitting. Oh, and the A's are hitting, so that's different.
Yeah. But they've lost like 7 straight, I think, since they got hot. So
the whole league, nobody can hit right now. That's what's happening in baseball right now. And the fact that the Mets are just kind of grinding through these games pitching. And again, I said it last episode, Mets starting pitching is taking a major step back in the last 2 weeks. Like, we now have the 8th highest starting pitching ERA in the league. We have the highest walk rate for starting pitchers in the league by so much, guys. Only 3 teams in Major League Baseball have a walk rate from their starters over 10%, and the Mets is 12%. It's really bad. And Lucchesi start didn't help. Like, Manaea nibbles every time. To me, it's like, I don't know if this is organizational. Like, the team is telling these guys who really aren't that good, be careful. But then the other side of that is like, we play in a huge ballpark. It's still cold as hell on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Lean into some contact. Stop playing these guys on base, because the guys on base are what's killing us. And we have allowed the second fewest home runs per 9 inning for any starting staff in baseball. So again, I think those two things are definitely very closely related, and one of the lowest batting averages of balls in play. So a lot of things, and the Mets still haven't had one inning pitched by their ace this year.
No.
So and that again,
well, they have. They've had a few. Christian Scott, don't forget.
Yeah, Christian Scott. Yeah, I still cut it over Scott, but it's just this season's gone like shit. And after this win, they're technically, it doesn't fucking matter because we're 40-ish games through the season. We're like basically in a playoff spot. So who cares? Doesn't matter about that. Dodgers championship was Mickey Mouse. 60-game seasons isn't real, but it sucks. But it's fucking May. Like the season didn't even
I
start yet.
know.
It hasn't.
Like again, this win tonight calmed me down. I was so hot. I was so hot because nothing. It feels like everything that could have gone wrong in this series did. Because again, these games were very winnable.
Every single one.
Mets could have swept this series 4 games, just like the Phillies could have.
Yeah.
And to see the way that we were losing it, like Diaz obviously is just not Edwin Diaz right now. He's going through it. He's hit that metaphorical wall of where like the stuff has not come back yet. You see, he's pressing. He's now not having the good results, and people are getting at him. I mean, I was even a little frustrated. I'm like, fuck, I'm getting PTSD from 2019 watching Edwin Diaz right now. Like that home run to Bryson Stott. Oh my god! And then on the fourth game, blowing that one too in the way that he did. I don't know. It's Dude, like people go to other teams, you root for other teams, you watch other teams, players come in there, they play well. It's like they come to the Mets and it's like never fucking easy. It's never easy except for Yoenis Cespedes. And it wasn't even easy for him because he fell in a fucking hole because he was chasing a warthog around his fucking facility, whatever he was on.
What the fuck are you talking about? But
Never comes
definitely,
easy.
I don't think again. I think that was my point of my last little tirade. I don't think it's that easy for other teams either. Like I don't
Like
think teams really have it easy.
maybe this year in a vacuum, but like they fucking do. The Yankees got Juan Soto and they're the best team in baseball now. Like fuck them.
I know, but again, they're the best team in baseball in May. 2 years ago, they were the best team in baseball in May also, and they had a catastrophic collapse. The only difference is they got Juan Soto for bits and pieces of their roster. But it's
You gotta keep me level. I'm talking myself in a spiral here.
it is like the teams playing well right now are the Phillies, who again, like watching the series, think about what you were talking about in the top of the episode, just like having a fuck you guy. Like Bryce Harper's a fuck you guy.
Bryce Harper's a fuck you guy. Kyle Schwarber's a fuck you guy. That guy hits 180 and takes the hardest swings at the plate every single time. I love it. Like I hate the Phillies with a passion. I hate that fucking city. I hate everything. But god damn it, do I respect a lot of the players on that team.
The Phillies are a fucking super well run organization. The Phillies are like have had this like 3 to 4 year run here where they've become one of the most like surefire, like bulletproof organizations in baseball. And they did it in like the most hilarious way possible, where they have a 3-headed monster at the top of their front office, where the top, the president of baseball operations is Dave Dombrowski. And Dave Dombrowski he's like what 30 years in the game. He's got multiple championships. He got a ring with the Marlins. He took the Tigers as far as they possibly could have gone. Got the ring with the Red Sox. Now he's in this Phillies team, and he's just circling the wagon again for another ring. It was 4th organization, which is insane. As the head executive, he might have had some before as minor executive. And then below him, they have Sam Fold as the assistant GM. Sam Fold, you guys might remember him. He was kind of like utility outfielder back in the day, 4th outfielder type, cerebral player, knows numbers really well, and he's like the kind of the liaison between players and numbers. And then the guy right next to him, Sam Fold, I forget his name. God, can you look up the Phillies front office directory for me right now? But I talked about him on this podcast years ago because it's just fascinating. The Phillies hired him at like 28 or 29. I think he was an actuarial scientist or just a pure data scientist. I don't know if he's ever even touched or sniffed a baseball. I don't know if he's ever had dirt on his pants, but he is just a fucking freak. And they have this 3-headed monster of like old school executive who can do anything, baseball player who knows numbers, and then just complete savant.
What's his position that we're looking for?
I think he's either AGM or now he's like vice president. You know how they change around the names and
Okay.
stuff. He should be like 3rd or 4th in command. I think his name appears Indian.
Okay, because there's nobody that appears Indian right now at the top of their thing.
Maybe he got taken away in the offseason. Or maybe he just like runs like data or something. If you
baseball operations. Here it is. Anirudh Kalambi.
That's him, Anirudh, yes. They again, like they have these 3 guys running the organization, and they did it perfectly. And you see in the roster, like they have a mix of dogs, they have a mix of analytics, and they have just this mix of baseball players who you just don't want to see on the other side of the field. Like they have a really, really good team. And we gave some shit to them, kind of like, you know, tongue in cheek, but they're a fucking really good team, and they're going to be around this whole year. And it's just, it sucks that we had 2 games won on them and 2 other games that we were super in. You lose another series, and you can't keep stacking up these series losses.
No, and I don't know if you're watching on YouTube, you probably saw me like cringe and get a little mad like randomly while James was talking. It has nothing to do with that. I was trying to make a point about how like even just go back to like 2019, right? The Mets from that team have like Jeff McNeil, Brandon Nimmo, Pete Alonso, like the guys that were around during that team. And you're like, holy shit. If we can add some pieces around these guys, we're going to make some noise. Like that year, like we had a chance, we couldn't get it done. And it's like, wow, we had Francisco Lindor. We have this great closer now, Edwin Diaz. We have all these things going on. And then you look at the Phillies team. The Mets record and the Phillies record were pretty similar in 2019, 81 wins for the Phillies. The Phillies from that team have kept JT Realmuto, Bryce Harper, and then on the pitching side, Aaron Nola. I think that's pretty much it in terms of the guys that are still around from that 2019 team. And yet they're the one that is just completely catapulted past us, which is crazy because it's like you look at those two at that moment, you'd be like, Mets just need a few pieces. Phillies are far away. And they fucking couldn't have gone opposite directions.
Baseball Twitter legend, Jay Kuda, he had a great tweet tonight. On this day 3 years ago, here are the first place teams in Major League Baseball: Red Sox, White Sox, Athletics, Mets, Cardinals, Giants.
Nice.
It happens fast. Like baseball, it like people, they're like at the top, it feels like there's not a lot of parity because it just always feels like Braves, Dodgers, Yankees. But the
Gotcha.
middle changes a lot. The middle class of baseball moves around a lot, especially in this golden age of data that we're in. Like there's so many ways that you can attack the market, attack free agency. The Phillies built this team in trades, free agency. Now they're finally the player development's catching up in like a little bit, kind of relievers at least. It's just,
Yeah.
Ryan Kirkering. What a fucking pitcher that guy is.
That was nasty. He looked
He's
pretty
so
filthy in
good.
that
He
game.
made Francisco Lindor look horrible in a few at
Everybody
bats.
did this series. He was over
Yeah.
fucking 16, whatever it was.
But I don't know. We're just rambling, ranting, and raving right now. I want to talk about Diaz like specifically for a little while
Sure.
because this is a moment that I think a lot of Mets fans together are starting to feel a little nervous.
Mhm.
Like he's blown 3 saves in the last 4 appearances this year. His fastball has not gone above 98 miles an hour. His fastball's also lost a few inches of life, of ride, of carry on it. It's very bad. I put a picture on Twitter on Monday night at the game. My sister snapped it to me when Bryson Stott hit. It was the go ahead run. I think it was the go ahead run. I think it was the hit by pitch with Bohm. She took this picture of me. I was just my hands were on my head. And it
Oh,
was just
yeah.
yeah. And I was like, the moment you realize Edwin Diaz isn't the same because he's not. And that game on Monday, like it does suck. Like that Whit Merrifield pitch, like he was struck out. The Bohm hit by pitch, that was like centimeters of difference for hitting the knob of his bat with 2 strikes or his pinky finger. But it's also just like he had no command. Stott nailed a fastball on him, put it into the seats, and then he walked. I think he gave 2 straight singles to the next guy. He walked another guy and he hit another guy. It's just he's all over the place right now. And then like that extra innings was horrible. I think that it was before the Mets made these roster shakeups, and I think Mendoza was pressing himself as well because it happened over the weekend and it happened last week too, where he would take out Brett Bailey to pinch hit Tyrone Taylor against a left-handed pitcher. Like, okay, in a vacuum, that does make tons of sense, but the way the Mets had their bench lined up, then you're then burning 2 bench players in one shot, like before the 9th inning. So when Tyrone Taylor pinch hits, he's dead mad. Now Joey Wendell comes in the game. And then you have to they use DJ Stewart as a pinch runner when they're down by 1, and use Joey Wendell bunting when you can't bunt. But you said the last inning you were managing to win the game, but then you're trying to bunt with the man on base. It was just that Monday game was like a low point for me this season. It was horrible, but I thought Ron Darling had some good insight about Edwin before the game on Tuesday, which then turned out to be an even lower point. And Wednesday turned out to be even a lower point, but we'll get to that. Just said that like Edwin knows he's not the same guy right now. Like his injury was very, very serious. There's not a lot of history for pitchers of this caliber who throw this hard to tear their patellar tendon. It's not even a very common baseball injury, I think, ever. I remember Dustin Fowler, Yankees prospect or Rockies prospect. Yeah, Yankees prospect was the only guy I could even find who even tore his patellar tendon. He wasn't a pitcher. Stroman tore his ACL. Mets Twitter pariah, I guess that's what I'm going to call him, John McCone. Like he talked about tearing his ACL. I think it's like a single A pitcher who probably threw 87 miles an hour, like not the same as Edwin
Me in
Diaz.
high school.
That's yeah. It's just it's an injury that very clearly like he's not there yet. And Ronnie specifically was like, you could just feel his mechanics are out of whack because he wants to get that fastball to where it is with the life and the velocity because he can't get it to that spot. But then when he tries to throw that hard, he's putting his lower body out and he doesn't know where the pitch is going. He's had some bad wild pitches, some bad walks. Wild pitch and a walk again did him in on Thursday night. It's so haphazard right now for him. And you could feel him pressing. You can feel all of it. And again, he's still a fine reliever. Every single thing that's everything below the surface. Yeah, he's still probably one of the 10 best relief pitchers in baseball, probably comfortably 15 even at best. I'll give you, but it's just he's no longer the clear, defined best pitcher by far, and that feels like a huge step down.
Yeah, Mendoza even gave us a little insight too after the game in Game 4, talking to the press, and he was like, "Yeah, Edwin, especially with his fastball, is feeling a little bit of pressure, and that the game has felt fast to him for the first time in a while, which kind of is obvious too. Like he didn't even remotely hold on Bryson Stott, or that was another guy, but he didn't hold on somebody,
Marsh.
and they stole second base easily, and you're like, oh." What are we doing? Like, we can't just be giving up base runners like this. I know the Mets refuse to throw out runners, but like his head clearly is very focused on trying to get this velo back, trying to get the fastball to snap. from my perspective, what it looks like mechanically is that he's just not really using his lower half as much. It feels like it is all arms, all shoulders, all upper half, which is why he's missing high and away. His arm is just kind of rushing through because he's trying to throw so much harder rather than using that lower half, which of course is going to be the hardest thing for him to figure out and get back because he blew out his fucking knee the last time he pitched when he used his lower half. So I get it mentally. And I don't think I don't think there's an injury with him. I don't think that there's a mental block. I think this is just something that happens when you blow out your knee, especially the patellar tendon of this is like the thickest tendon in your knee, right? I believe it's like maybe the biggest one you have.
It's an incredibly rare injury in a baseball player.
Yeah, so I think there's just a combination of all that along with the pressure that he's feeling, along with the fact that he himself probably knows I'm not as good as I have been. That's all culminating into this awful, awful week that's happened. And I'm hoping we can put it behind us because I'm not worried about Edwin Diaz as much as that makes sense. The only thing I am worried about is the mental side of things right now for him. I want him to be mentally strong, and it seems like we're getting a couple cracks in there, which are a little concerning to me.
I think you're a little foolish not to also care about the physical side of it. Again, like I don't think there's anything wrong with him, but it's just he's 30 years old. He had a massive, serious lower half injury, and like that lower half is really important pitching. I feel like people hear lower like leg injury for pitching, and you're like, okay, he's back, he's back.
Yeah, I mean, it's
But
his drive leg, yeah.
yeah, like it's so important. I think it probably just will take a long time for all this to be back, and this probably it's a lot in Jeremy Hefner right now to get him in a bullpen and get those mechanics back. He's fixed them once, he could fix them again, but it's a lot. It's something that used to be such a thing that we didn't have to think about, such a foregone conclusion, such a comfort that this team is not there right now. And again, everyone just has to pick him up. Everyone has to pick him up. It's on the rest of the guys now because he's done it for you. You have to do it for him.
Yeah, which shout out to them for doing that in the fourth game of the series because I really thought that game was over. I thought there was no shot they were winning that. It's just a real mess. Yeah, they
fought back
They
twice.
fought back, which man, I don't
Twice.
even know. I feel so
Harrison
weird.
Bader, JJ Martinez. It was good. It was good rallies, and they had the wild pitch for Pete. That was another miracle. But
Yeah,
it's just
off the rat fuck.
Yes, off the rat fuck. Jose Alvarado. It's such a weird team, such weird games. Like the series was bizarre. I thought Aaron Nola was going to throw a perfect game on Tuesday afternoon. I really did.
I mean, he was
perfect through
disgusting.
5. He was cutting through the Mets like a knife through butter. Like he was
3-pitch inning.
crazy. And then it was just that was the end of the homestand. And like the homestand with 5 games against your rival, you go 1-4. And I had a little tweet, and the Mets have had such a trouble scoring at Citi Field this year. It's a complete disaster. They're 4-8 in their last 12 home games. 3 of those victories were the Vientos walk-off home run against the Cardinals, the Nimmo walk-off home run against the Braves, and the miracle Francisco Lindor flu game, Starling Marte throwing out 2 guys to play in extra innings that we were there. That was 3 of their last 4 home wins.
Yeah.
All of those were miracles. Any one of those games they could have lost. They scored 33 runs in their last 12 home games. That's under 3 runs per game. Like you're not going to win baseball like that. And again, I hate that like it's magnifying something's happening in like Carlos Mendoza's decision making or the bullpen's effectiveness when it's like it just comes down to this offense. You guys have to score 4 runs. You have to.
I mean that, and I mean, have you seen the Mets record since Timmy Trumpets has stepped in the building? I mean, we got the Timmy Trumpets curse here a little bit. The Mets are currently pulling it up real quick.
I have it.
Go for it.
They're 113 and 123 since Timmy Trump has stepped in the building, and it's not completely Edwin Diaz's fault, but he only has 8 saves and 25 appearances since that happened. And I think it's just kind of endemic to a broader issue with this Mets organization where it's just like what do we think? Like there's so much happening. There's so much happening right now. My sister at the game on Monday, we were there together. Shout out my sister. Julie's the best. But she was just like watching the game. She was like, there's too much going on in the stadium. She was like, there's so much happening here. She was like, you'll just forget about, like, she actually said this, which I thought was hilarious. She's like, you forget about the baseball game. And I feel like she's the exact kind of person who
they want you to forget about the baseball game.
But I feel like she's the exact kind of person that like they're trying to be like, this Citi Field is amazing. Look at Citi Field right now, where it's like, she's like, this is too much happening. Like the intensity of Edwin Diaz's walkout right now is a lot. And it's really cool. Don't get me wrong. It is sick. It's so awesome. But then it's just like, this is like, is this more important than the guy who like his health and his pitching and the role he's in? Like, do they feel like they can't demote him? Maybe have him work some 7th and 8th innings while he fixes his mechanics because of the song that they play when he leaves the bullpen? Like, or is Reed Garrett gonna have to walk out to Latin trumpets after this? Like how do we organize this right now? Like what's actually important here? It even felt like during that offseason, like a huge reason he even came back to this team with the money he did was because we had to
Trumpets.
preserve the intro. And the intro is a complete worldwide phenomenon. I give the Mets organization a lot of credit for developing this because, like, I think they've even changed the way that bullpen entrances have gone around baseball now. Like,
Yeah.
everyone, I feel like, is trying to do something like this. And again, like, Mariano Rivera did it for a while. Trevor Hoffman had a cool one, like, but this is the feel like the first one of the new generation that's like crazy. I feel like
That you
Tatis had a
know the
really good
song
one.
of, because how many closer songs do you know besides Enter Sandman and Hell's Bells? Those are like the two big ones.
That, of course, yeah, that's it. And again, like, this is the new one where it's crazy, and like it's transcended to even other sports, and every stadium plays this song now. But it's just like, take a breather for a second. Like, the guy who, like, we're doing this big intro for, like, he is struggling. Like, he's too hot. Like, his heart's beating too
Yeah.
fast. Maybe just play a lower volume. Maybe kill the LED lights for a week or something. Like, maybe don't. Every single time a Philly reliever came into the game, they did this huge subway animation. Objectively, great graphic design. But, like, these relievers are coming in and blowing our brains out of the plate. So it's like, this doesn't feel like good anymore, guys. We can add on to this lead.
Here's my hot question for you. Do you retire the trumpets
You
until he's
can't
back?
you can't do that because it's just like, that's not, then you look even worse.
Mm.
That's the problem. The Mets with all this stuff have backed themselves into a corner, and I feel like this organization does this sometimes where they like
Quite a lot. These Mets.
they overdo these things, like these marketing and engagement like
Queen's
concepts.
Crew. You said the Phillies were laughing at the Queen's Crew, right? Or my
Braves,
dad
the
or
Braves.
Braves. Yeah, we're laughing at the Queen's Crew. Like, if there's just certain things that the Mets do that other teams don't, and it's okay if you win, but we don't. We lose a lot.
Even like today, I caught the Philly broadcast 'cause I couldn't load an SNY stream, and I was much more focused on the Rangers anyway. Like, Philly Fanatic was just smashing a Mets helmet, and I was
It's
like,
awesome.
"Damn, it's great! They'll just beat us 3 times in a row. They're 15 games ahead of us in the
Yeah,
standings.
Mrs.
They should be
Mrs.
smashed."
Met's a little too curvy, and they take away her Twitter account, and now it's combined with Mr. Met. Like, we can't have any fun.
As she tries to go for the the mascot Hall of Fame. Not right, not right. We support women, the Messed Up Podcast. We will never silence them ever. But it's just, it's so much happening right now. It's just like, guys, this team is like a 75 win team. It's just like, we just fucking chill with all this stuff. Like, I think I sound like an old man yelling at a cloud, but like, at some point, I want to focus on baseball. Like, Matt Olson was like pointing at the Queen's Crew and laughing on the
Yeah.
field. Ozzy Albies was like trying to say something to him. He's like, I can't hear you. And he's like pointing to the speakers. It's just like, there's so much going on in that stadium. And it's like, you got a deep fried fucking 7-layer cookie. You have a burger with lobster on it. It's like, I can't even figure out what's happening in there.
I'd love to, I don't know, just start it over. Just be like, okay, forget everything that happened in 2022. Let's get the Men in Black thing. Shock it. Forget it. The season starts now. You wouldn't be doing the stuff that the Mets are doing. There's no way. They're still carrying like off the coattails of 2022, which is the worst thing they could possibly do because that's 2 fucking years ago. It's so long ago.
And it was a team that achieved nothing. They didn't win their
Nothing.
division. They didn't win a playoff round. They achieved
choked.
literally nothing. They literally were a massive choke of that team. And again, that Timmy Trumpet felt like it was the beginning and the end of that season too. Like, the second that happened, it was like that was the peak. Like, that was the moment. And it's just like
put a target on their backs that they didn't really need. It was like, oh, you're gonna bring out a guy to play the fucking trumpets during the game on the field because your reliever came out. Like, it was cool. I'm not saying it wasn't.
Super
It was
cool.
cool. It was
Impressive.
awesome. But fuck, I wish we never did that because it just, like, you have to be the best and we're not.
No, and the fact that happening against the Dodgers, who like are the class of baseball, the Braves beat the shit out of us after that, and they keep little brothering us since then. It's just, this team isn't in a position right now. Again, like, maybe like where we don't realize it. Like, maybe you have to be able to market that way if you just want to like get yourself to a point eventually. But it's also like, God, like, I just wish that there was a little more impetus on what's going on the field. It's just not that good. But also, maybe like if you wait for the team to get good, like, then you just never do marketing. Like, I don't know. Like, what the Nationals have a horrible in-game
You know what
experience.
the marketing is?
Winning.
You win fucking baseball games. We got playoff games. Like, all this. James, how full was the stadium the other night? Just want to know because all this marketing that's going on. Surely there must be tons of people there.
Completely empty. The Mets are actually one of the teams I've seen that have lost the most attendance this season.
And what do you think the reasoning behind that is? Again, because marketing would tell you we spend on the marketing, we have cool things, they're going to show up. What
team sucks ass.
Team sucks ass, and no one gives.
That doesn't suck ass. That doesn't suck ass. I'm just mad right now. But team's fine. The team is a team that's going to be slightly below 500. That's what they are. It's what they seem to be.
The one thing they killed in marketing was the fucking these guys right here.
That's it. We got murdered for it, but I don't even know. There's just such like a farther sky. We're not talking about baseball anymore. We should talk about like the massive roster shakeups that have happened in this team in the middle of the series.
And that will lead into Steve Cohen as well.
Yeah, exactly. So I like that were aggressive in season. Like
Yes.
Steve Cohen's had a propensity to be like, I don't care about dead money. Like if something's not working, it's not working. Just get rid of it. And David Stearns also seems like now like having this like shorter leash because he actually has some money behind him. He's willing to make some more moves. So after Aaron Nola bent us over on Tuesday afternoon, almost threw a perfect game. It was terrible. It was terrible. We DFA Joey Wendell,
Get
called up
ready to
Mark
learn
Vientos.
Chinese, buddy.
Yeah, sent down Jose Budo, which hurt me in my core. Called up Lucchese, who's now been sent down for Josh Walker. DFA'd Johan Ramirez for the second time this year and called up Grant Hartwig. And it was a lot. Again, the shakeups are nice. And it's just, I think it did give this team a little jolt. Like Vientos on Wednesday, he had a big RBI double right in the game started. Like Ranger Suarez, one of the game's best run stoppers this year. Mark Vientos also had two deplorably bad plays at third base. One of them, which completely opened the floodgates for the Phillies in this game. So again, that's it.
It's like when we say this stuff, because I know there are a lot of people who listen to the podcast and like it, but disagree with a lot of things that we say at times. And Vientos seems to be a big one where I've always been like, and you too, like he can't play third base, guys. He can't do it. This isn't just us saying it because we want to be right. This is the fact. And you've seen he can't play third base. He might be a better hitter than I give him credit for, or that you give him credit for.
I've
That's
never said
fine.
he's not a good hitter. He's a fine. He can hit the ball.
But he
The ball
cannot play third base. I don't see where it's coming to get any better either.
just broke a weird Southern accent now, but just it does feel like the fact that like this team's backs against the wall. They're like Mark Vientos. Like, all right, sure. It's just
and the fact that he went into the lineup higher, like they rearranged the lineup two that day, and he hit ahead of Starling Marte, who had been hitting two all
stole my
year
tweet.
long. Yeah, I
I
stole
seen
your
that.
tweet. Yeah,
I replied to that to Tim Healy and he quoted me. I was like, nice. But yeah, just the logic of the fact that Starling Marte hit second on Tuesday, Mark Vientos in AAA on Tuesday. On Wednesday, Mark Vientos is hitting fifth and Starling Marte is hitting sixth. Where it's
it's
like,
like the
okay,
second time in Mark Vientos' really short career, the Mets have been like, "We have problems, fix it, Mark."
on you. But I want to talk just briefly about my guy Budo getting sent down too, because it was a bad few starts for Budo, but I also think it's just a weird moment for the Mets in terms of roster management, where he pitched on Tuesday, and the Mets have been saying they're going to transition to a six-man rotation just to keep everybody fresh, to get ready for Senga, and to keep Scott because he was also on a six-man rotation down the minor leagues. So they were going to put Hauser in the rotation, and we were dreading that. And luckily, didn't get put in the rotation because on Tuesday he just got warmed up. They're like, I
Started warming up.
can't pitch tomorrow anymore. Then Wednesday he actually did pitch in relief, but when he pitched Wednesday in relief, that was on 5 days rest from the last time. So he is on schedule to pitch Monday, and now Mendoza said that McGill is going to come up and pitch either Sunday or Monday. So it seems like those are the two guys that are going to be in rotation because Lucchese went back down. And shocker, Joe Lucchese didn't really have a very good start. He got to the third time through the rotation, and then Bryce Harper and Alec Boehm and JT Realmuto had piss missiles off it. And it makes sense. But Budo hasn't been good, but he also, I think might still be better than half of these guys. Like his last 26 innings since the KC start, 23 strikeouts and 17 walks. It's really bad. You can't have that many walks. You can't do that. And something that we lauded Budo for was his aggressiveness, his willingness to attack hitters. But I think that was just something that we thought. I looked, not borne out in the data at all. 42% zone rate this season per StatCast. That is the lowest rate in the major leagues of all starting pitchers. The least amount of pitches thrown in the zone. That's tied with Stroman. But the rest of the bottom five guys in zone rate are actually all having fantastic seasons. Stroman, Gallen, Trevor Williams, the GOAT. Wish we had Trevor Williams in this team.
God.
And Reese Olson, who doesn't give up hits or runs ever.
No.
And Jose Budo's chase rate was in line with all those guys. I think just something happened that Dodgers start where he got figured out a little bit with the changeup, because the changeup is a whiff pitch, but if people aren't swinging at it, it's not going to get whiffs anymore, because I don't think it's that great of a pitch. I think it just worked well off his fastball. So then the whiffs have dried up, the chases have dried up a little bit, and then that's how the walks have happened. So I think he just has to go back down to AAA for a little bit, like get his head right than anything else, and just attack the zone again. But the Mets are, again, this weird spot in roster construction right now where they have this whole bullpen that's pitching fine objectively. Nobody really has options besides one spot to keep flipping around. This rotation now, Hauser stinks objectively. He's terrible. He's going to get another shot because he has a contract. Quintana righted the ship slightly on Thursday, but he's also been really bad. He's probably 2 months away from having a hard conversation. And then you have McGill, Peterson coming back, Senga hopefully coming back. Scott's here. He better not fucking go anywhere.
No.
Severino's pitching great. And then Budo. And then Emanaya, yeah. Emanaya's pitching well too. But you'd love to be able to keep like the Budo, Peterson, McGill guys all on the roster together to like soak up the innings in the middle of the bullpen. But because none of these relievers have any minor league options, you can't take them off the roster anymore. Like Corey Lopez is too good. Reed Garrett has an option, but he's not going anywhere. Drew Smith's coming back. Ottavino, of course not. Like there's just too, like suddenly too many guys in this boat. Like I wouldn't even be surprised if the Mets try to like actually trade a reliever to clear this up and let one of these starters like be the glue guy in this roster. But we have too many pitchers, but also not enough pitching. It's very weird what's happened.
Well, yeah, we have too many pitchers, but not enough to make a decision of who those pitchers should be. That's really what it comes down to. Is like, well, I mean, we know who one of them shouldn't be. It shouldn't be Adrian Hauser. And again, like you said, he's probably could be making his last appearance. And if it goes poorly, again, another Ni Hao, get ready to learn Chinese, buddy. Like he's probably being cut.
He's gonna stick around. I don't think this team's gonna give
You
up.
said that about Joey Wendell too, and he's gone.
Well, I think Joey Wendell's different. Joey Wendell's on a 1-year contract. I think Adrian Hauser actually has like 2 years of control.
I think he's a free agent. I'm gonna call you out on that one, but I might be wrong. He is a free agent at the end of the year.
Okay, so he is someone who actually could be cut then. But again, teams hate to give up assets for free, especially one that's like an actual starting pitcher in the league with like a 4.0 career ERA.
Yeah, sure. So was Jared Eichhoff. He was his actual starting pitcher too, I guess.
No, I mean Eichhoff's here and like Hauser's here, which shows you where we think of Jared Eichhoff. But it's just teams don't want to give up assets like that. It's just that's the way that these major league teams operate. Like, why give you something for free if I could get anything from it from you?
The Rockies.
I don't know. I don't know what's happening. It's a strange situation right now. I don't know how they're going to line up all these guys coming back. Miguel's coming back, I guess. I don't know. I'm not going to pretend to be excited about it, but I'm also just like, I'll give him another chance. Like, why not? I said he had made some changes in the prospect report last week. I don't know. But then as this all happened, Wednesday was as clusterfuck of a game as the Mets had. They had men on base 4 out of 5 innings against Ranger Suarez. They could not get a big hit. Joey Lucchesi fell apart in the 5th with some bad defense. He walked the 7 and 8 hitters ahead of the great top of the Phillies lineup. Then Mark Vientos didn't get back to third base soon enough on a sac. The Phillies gave you an out. Mark Vientos didn't get back to third base soon enough. Lucchesi was aggressive, but he had the guy at third. It was bad. Floodgates open. Then Lindor made an error. McNeil made an error. It was gross. That game was gross. It was hard to watch. It was the worst Met game, I think. One of the worst Met games this year.
Yeah, and we got a deleted tweet from Uncle Steve Cohen, at 8:39 p.m. tweeted out after someone sent him it appears like their blog about the Mets and blowing it up. Looks like an old man who was writing a blog about the Mets. I don't know why Steve Cohen was replying to this guy in the first place. Feels weird. But he said, all in the future, not much we can do until trade deadline. And it got 23,000 views before it got deleted. Luckily, James was hot on the case, got the screenshot, got it out on Mets Up. But it does start the conversation of, is this what Steve Cohen's thinking? Is this a sign of Pete Alonso could be on the move? Is this a sign of Jeff McNeil maybe could be on the move? Is this a sign of basically, if you're a guy who's expendable, probably I think the 3 guys you can guarantee are not going anywhere in terms of offense: Brandon Nimmo, Francisco Alvarez, Francisco Lindor. I think those 3 guys are locked in for the foreseeable future with this team, not going anywhere. But that tweet to me signals that basically everybody else is, if we can get something back, and then on the pitching side, like, you're not moving Christian Scott kind of thing. But everybody else is available, could be available depending on trade deadline.
We're super jumping the gun. There's 2 months, and I think the Mets are technically like in a playoff spot right now, which is really funny to have this conversation. But it's just like, you could get a pretty penny for Luis Severino. Like, you really could. Like, you could. Someone would want Sean Manaea. Someone might give you a bag of balls for Jose Quintana. But I think I'm hot in the case on this Steve Cohen tweet, because he immediately did he saved the day, talked to everyone's favorite journalist, Andy Martino, afterwards, Steve Cohen's favorite journalist especially.
Why is that the fuck
like, hey, like, it was a mistake. I meant it as being a direct message. Like, of course, I still expect this team to compete and make the postseason. Like, it's still May. It's early in the season. I have a hot take.
What is it?
I think Steve Cohen has, if not a burner, many burners.
Ooh.
I think that Uncle Stevie's active on Twitter, because this is a classic case of, I thought I was on a different account.
Ooh, and you are a guy with some multiple accounts out there.
I don't like talking to any of them, but I use them just like be able to like look at different things and see different stuff. I think some people on the internet don't like me. I'm blocked in a few places, so I like to keep tabs. But
yeah, Mets Up's my burner. I get to see John Heyman's tweet because I'm blocked.
Exactly. But I have some experience with some like really nitty gritty research in my past, and I'm on the case, guys. If Steve Cohen has a burner, like, give me a week here, I'm gonna find it. I found one account today, because I won't tell you guys how I did it, but I found an account that's just an egg. It's been in existence for about 2 years, and the only things it tweets about are stocks and the Mets, replying to a lot of the beat reporters, replying to a lot of these like old school blogger type guys, and it's just, I don't think it's conclusive yet. I need to get more in here. I'm like the forensic Twitter guy, but it seems to me like because they said it was direct message. There's no way you thought that was direct message.
You
Who you
can't
direct
possibly.
messaging that account, Mets links and news? Like
Yeah, why?
there's no fucking way.
About his
But
personal blog that I mean, with all due respect, I can't imagine that it's getting that many clicks to the point where someone would freak out.
no, what that account is a Mets news aggregator. It's
Oh,
Mets
okay.
news and links. So they gather a lot of things that
Gotcha.
people say about the Mets.
Even
They put it out
weirder
there.
then to send it to a Lynx account.
But that's what I mean. This was an intentional reply, but from the wrong
Mm,
account. And we know that Steve is active on Twitter. Like, there's no
he's been
billionaire in the
public
world
about it,
besides.
yeah.
Yeah, it's literally besides the asshole that owns it. There's no one else no one with this much money who's as active on Twitter. So clearly, he's like in the know a little bit. And when you're on Twitter, you want to say some stuff.
Of
Like I said, my
course.
dad put Twitter kind of a few years ago. He's tweets all the time
Hey,
now.
my dad too.
Yeah, it's just fun to like I can say some stuff into the world right now. So it's just crazy that we have an owner that's like talking about trade deadline plans accidentally on the internet on May 15th. But again, I also I don't think it's like the worst thing in the world. Like I don't think it's that bad that he's like, oh, if there's another lost season, we're again going to trade in assets and again build up a farm system that we just took from bottom 10 to top 10. Let's keep pushing on it, especially the way that we're developing pitchers right now. Like keep going. Whatever if it's the lost season,
Yeah,
it's just not there yet.
it's definitely something to look into. Definitely something that Detective James Shiano will be on the case all season. Let me tell you, the day you have definitive evidence, we're getting on the podcast, we're ripping it, and you're making bold claims. We're putting that shit on TikTok, we're putting it on Instagram, YouTube Shorts. We're blowing it up, and it's gonna be our most viewed clip ever for sure.
Totally, the bridge is already burned, so now we can just have some
Yeah,
fun.
I mean, we're not going back to. They're not hiring us back.
No,
There's no way.
never again.
Get denied
But
for
it's
everything.
I like have to echo this. Like, I really don't think it's that bad that he's like tweeting about the trade deadline, being
No.
like, "Yeah, I don't know. We still have to assess." And like, I do think that he probably still thinks because I'm sure the numbers people and front office people are like, we still have like a very similar playoff percentage as we did on opening day. Not much has changed. We're what 3 games under 500. There's 2 teams in our division who are amazing. The rest of the National League is quite literal dog shit. I think the whole National League is 4 teams over 500. Like, it's just that there's an opening here. No one can hit.
Yeah, Mets
It's
are
still
half game out.
that's the thing. It's still freezing in New York. Kodai Senga hasn't pitched an inning. Christian Scott's only pitched, I think, 13 and a third or something. It's a long way to go here. Like Francisco Lindor's hitting 198. That's not going to happen all season. Like I think this team
Can't.
still has ample chance to make the playoffs, but it's crazy that we live in a world and we root for a team where the owner's like, yeah, trade deadline. We'll see what happens. Can't blow it all up yet.
Yeah, it's a pretty pretty crazy world for sure. This Mets team, this is going to be a weird year. This is going to be so weird already. Like,
They
and you
always
know what?
are.
You know what it comes back to? We couldn't have been more right. They're exactly what we thought they were. But we like to get upset. We like to get excited. That's what Mets fans do. We overreact to the good. We overreact to the bad. And at the end of the day, they're a 500 baseball team. And right now, they're what 3 games under 500. We might be looking next week, and they might be 24 and 23. Like it's so ridiculous.
And the schedule's been like objectively hard, like relative to the league. Like we already had to go out west, the Braves, and we already had 6 games against the Braves. Now it's 4 games against the Phillies, who are some of the best teams in the league. We haven't played the Marlins yet. It's just as we start transitioning to the series preview going down to Miami. But it's not crazy yet, and the team's playing like shit, and they're
So
still hanging
bad.
around like exactly where we expected them to hang around. This like
That was
crazy loud motorcycle going
wow.
past my house. I
I
wonder if you
think
guys
that
are gonna
might
hear
be
that
like
one.
a dirt bike, even.
Oh, they do this every single night. Like between 10:30 and 2, it's just like see how fast you can go down James Street. It's like
Without
I'm sure
dying.
they're pushing 100 miles an hour, but it's just I don't know, guys. Like if you want to like I understand that I think a lot of people have taken these amazing runs by the Knicks and the Rangers to be like, all right, let me give me a month off the Mets.
Yeah.
But we're not like that. We're sick of the head. If you guys listening to this, we appreciate you taking the ride with us. But once we get to June, July, like I don't think this team is again. I'm echoing all the bullshit the Mets are saying. I don't think they're bad enough to just fall out. I think there's too many good players in this team to fall out, especially because again, National League fucking sucks.
You gotta be
They
500 this year. That's it.
suck. As long as you just avoid these 5 game losing streaks, you find the 5 game winning streak here and there. Like it's the same shit. You're gonna be right there. It's 2 games out on August 15th. Like that's where it's gonna be. So just if you want to mentally fast forward to there, like I respect you for it, but it's going to be really topsy turvy this whole way to go. We appreciate you here with us for it.
Yes, and we've got a series going against the Marlins this weekend, to which if the Mets sweep, be back to 500. And this Marlins team is bad. I don't care about the jinx anymore. We have no impact on what goes on the field. So I'm going to talk about the Marlins as truthfully as possible. I have to be truthful in my sayings. They're 13 and 32. They're one of the worst teams in baseball and have played like one of the worst teams in baseball.
And they have one of the worst rosters in baseball. This team up and down, it's just not impressive at all. But to give you guys some pitching matchups for the series, we're going to be blessed with an ace-off on Friday night. So if you guys are blessed with 2 televisions, you'll be able to watch the Knicks and Christian Scott versus Jesus Luzardo.
Ooh.
Then Saturday, 4:10, Braxton Garrett, fresh off the IL, I think a second or third to start back versus Luis Severino. And then Sunday matinee, 1:40. Who the hell?
What?
Sanchez.
Sixto.
Oh, he's starting?
Yeah.
Sixto Sanchez versus Sean Manaea, another ace off.
Keep that in there. That's good.
Oh my God, I'm definitely going to keep that in there. That's crazy. I thought, when did he take him out of the bullpen? What?
He's made 2 starts in a row, I think.
Can't be good.
No, terrible. Awful.
Okay, nice. All right, I like that. But we're going down to Miami. That's a place that no one ever wants to play because there's 9 people in attendance and it's dark and
No,
grim
Mets
and
packed the
muggy.
house.
Yeah, I packed the house with like 6,500 people. But again, this Marlins team, a team that made the playoffs last year, is I don't want to say they're in disarray because I think they're better than that. But they traded Luis Ariz about 2 weeks ago. You guys know we talked about that on the show. He was objectively their best hitter, like him and Jazz has turned it on. He's hitting pretty well. He's being regular Jazz Chisholm. Brian De La Cruz in the lineup every day and having the best start to a season he's ever had
He'll
in
hit
his
a home
career.
run.
Yeah, he has 9 this season. He's like 5th in the
He might hit
league.
2.
So it's like he's having a really good year. He's slugging 750 right now, which again, if you guys heard me at the beginning of the show, slugging 750 now is like slugging like 875 last year. So he's crushing the ball. Tim Anderson plays every day for them. He is abysmal.
He's out.
Oh, he's out?
Yeah, which
All right,
is
there we
maybe a
go.
good thing for them, honestly.
Yeah, great thing for them. Jake Burgers had a tough start to the year. I'm sure he'll get hot this weekend. Vidal Brujan is playing a little bit. He's pesky. He's fast. He's
Ooh,
athletic.
I got a good one for you.
Mm.
Does Christian Betancourt get his OPS plus above 0 after this series? He is currently an OPS plus of 0 through 24 games. He is hitting 132 with a 348 OPS. Does it go above or below 0 after this series?
Above.
Above. Okay, I like that. Give him the reverse
Yeah.
jinx.
Yeah, I just again like they're not good. I'm just gonna give a lot of credit to guys who aren't that good. Like Jazz is still fun. He's a guy I'd love for the Mets to trade for if they do get back in this thing.
Make that TikTok.
That'd be amazing. Oh my god, yeah. I think it's like too stupid to make trade content now. If I could have done it like the day after the Luis Rise, like yeah, it would have made sense. But I'd love the fact that the guy who can like play all the outfield positions and the middle infield to fit onto this roster, like that's like what we think the best version of Luis Angel Acuna could be if he even had power. But Small seems annoying as hell. They moved AJ Puck back to the bullpen. He's a good reliever again, like shocker. But it's just they suck. Please just play good baseball. Please just don't make errors. Get a few timely hits like Francisco Lindor. Please do something and just get on these guys.
Keep an eye out for Otto Lopez too. He is a guy that was, I think, from the Blue Jays originally. Has bounced around to a couple different teams. He is barreling the ball at an astounding rate right now. Very small sample, but he has 5 barrels in I think like 12 games, and he has 3 home runs, which is the only 3 home runs of his career. So would be crazy to find power as a 25-year-old in Miami, but he's doing something really impressive right now. So keep an eye out for him too.
Yeah, no, Andrew Nardi in the bullpen's had a great season for the Marlins. He's always had some good stuff. The Marlins just have this onslaught of like interesting relievers that like half of them can't find the
The
plate.
whitest names ever: Tanner,
Yeah,
Declan, Birch, Calvin, Braxton.
I'm so happy they went out on a limb and against Tanner Scott in fantasy baseball season. He's walking over 20% of hitters right now. So yeah, but he just doesn't know where to play this. And they actually roster. I don't know if he's still on the team, but I know he's made an appearance for them this year. Old friend Vladimir Gutierrez. You guys might remember Vladimir Gutierrez from years ago.
The spider tattoo.
Yeah, they did DFA him. He's back. He's on the Red Sox now. Damn, I would have loved to see. He's got a big spider in his neck right here.
It's the craziest tattoo ever.
Yeah, but this team again, there's no reason not to take 2 out of 3 of this against this team, if not sweep them. Just please just play well. Just have a normal series. Like I'm so focused on the Knicks tomorrow. I just can't. I can't even deal with it. I'm so locked in. The Rangers tonight took it all out of me this week. Oh my god.
Can't wait to go to sleep and wake up tomorrow and watch the Knicks. Like which may be famous last words, but God, I'm so excited for that game.
And again, if necessary, Sunday, like it's gonna be a war. It's gonna be a war to get out of the series. But the Mets just guys, just keep the water out of the boat until the Knicks and Rangers have their dual championships.
In terms of new reviews, we've got a couple new ones here, James. Did we read?
I love it.
When was the last episode we did? When did it come out? Sunday. Okay, so then we got Richie Dordas. He's a legend. He came back with love the show. Pete Alonso take 5 stars. Hey, Mark and James, love the show. Just wanted to share an opinion I have. Are we sure signing Pete long term is smart? He's a one-dimensional player approaching 30, and history shows it doesn't work out well. Guys like Christian Walker and Josh Naylor can replace him for cheaper. Plus, if you were truly in the Juan Soto sweepstakes, it wouldn't make sense from a financial standpoint. Quick thoughts. I literally agree with everything you're saying.
Yeah, really great thoughts. Who said that?
Richie Dordas.
Yeah, Dordas a legend. That's an amazing. It's amazing. It's all
It's a
good
good
takes.
take.
Everything is really true. Like I don't know if signing Pete till he's 38 years old is a good idea. If you have to sign Pete and it means you can't sign Juan Soto, I think that's a bad idea. But it's
Yeah.
also probably no guarantee of that. So I don't know. It's not a decision we're making. That's why we paid David Stearns the big bucks. He's a great executive. I don't know what's gonna happen. I
Yeah,
have
we'll
no
find
idea.
out. We got another one here from It's Sean O, Best Mets podcast, and it's not close. 5 stars. Appreciate you, Sean. I've been listening since day one and have followed Mark since his gaming days on MLB The Show. Hell yeah. Love you, Sean. They speak the honest truth when it comes to the team. Doesn't matter how bad or good they are. One of the most fan engaging pods you'll listen to, especially on social media. I've talked to James several times on Twitter. They do more than just recaps and they really bring the fan aspect to it all. Must listen, especially if you're a Mets fan. Would love some trivia / game / bracket style content outside the off season. Well, we did drop a little bit of a different YouTube video for you. So remember, subscribe to the Mets Stub Podcast YouTube channel. There will be tons of exclusive YouTube content coming at you. We want to read the next one here, James?
Yeah, I got it. And also, I think we're gonna do a quiz next week, and we're trying to plan another bracket. So if you guys have ideas for a Mets bracket you want us to do, let us know. Because I think I want to start like getting some of these episodes ready ahead of time for 4th of July, Memorial Day.
Yeah.
Like that'd be a smart thing for us to do if we want to be like real podcasters. Yeah. But another one from Brandon Lux. Shout out you, Brandon. Carolina Hurricanes lost, heartbreaker. Sorry about that.
Oh,
I know he's
sorry.
Cane. I know he's a Canes fan. He's in my mentions. I remember best Mets pod. I remember when you guys first announced you were starting Mets stuff and was super excited. I've been listening ever since. Best Mets content out there. I love the prospect reports. Getting to know about these guys a lot better, hearing about them for the first time. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Brandon. And I got one more from Match Matchhs. Great Mets pod. Been listening since day one. I love the prospect report and the realistic takes on the Mets. I love the updates from James about where he was in the world every week. Sounded like an insane trip. It was an insane trip. Mark and I are both going to London now in a few weeks again, so it'll be fun to do some English episodes. Mark, what happened to your daily baseball live stream, and why don't you post it on YouTube anymore? Anyway, let's go Mets. Let's go Knicks. Mark tried to work hard for 2 weeks last year, and he totally stopped.
Yeah, that totally stopped. It burned me out completely. We're working on trying to maybe get to bed at 2 a.m. instead of going to bed at 4 o'clock in the morning playing Counter Strike every day. I think that's making
Huge
me
for you.
pretty unproductive. Along with the fact that, dude, the Knicks and Rangers really just tired me out. I wake up, I'm like, oh my god, I'm so tired. I don't want to do anything.
Every game's a war, and then you add the Mets games on top of it. They don't play normal ones. I will just ask you, before we go in a second, see if you can scroll back and find AJ Rufano's review. I know we read it a few episodes ago, but he told me he missed it. So AJ, that's on you for not listening to the end of the episode. But Apple for me wouldn't load up the old reviews.
Ooh.
And guys, also if I'm sorry, if you guys don't have Apple and you can't leave us reviews, but leave us reply to a tweet and say this is your review, or drop us a YouTube comment or something, and we'll get your review in.
All right, let me quickly look here so you don't have to do too much editing. See if we can scroll through. AJ Rufano.
Yeah, I remember reading it. It was probably a week or two ago. And he's a loyal Mets Stub stan. He's a fellow ball knower. FBK.
All right, well, we couldn't find it. Sorry, AJ, but you got a shout out here. You got mentioned more than anyone has that's written a review. So congratulations. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for watching. Make sure you follow us on our social media at MetsUp on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Again, subscribe to the MetsUp Podcast YouTube channel so you can see the video version of this as well as the exclusive content we'll be throwing out over there. If you're listening to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download, and subscribe. Follow James on Twitter at
James_Shiano.
And I'm Draftneck Mark with a C. Thank you guys for listening and watching, and we will catch you after the Marlins series. Let's go Knicks. Peace out.
Peace out. See you guys next time. Let's go Knicks. Let's go Rangers. Let's go Knicks.